Hi everybody, this is Richard White and we're going to take a few moments to look at the gift list assignment. This is an exercise in designing classes and methods, and this kind of assumes that you already know a little bit about classes, objects, and methods, and that you have a basic understanding of how to create a constructor, what an instance field is, and how to write accessor methods and mutator methods. If you're not completely comfortable with those yet, this activity will be really useful for helping to solidify that understanding. And it also assumes that you know a little bit about array lists. If you're just learning about array lists, then this is a great activity. So the general idea here in this gift list assignment is you're going to create 3 classes that are going to allow us to keep track of gifts. It's the holiday season, and we're going to go out and buy gifts for people, or we're going to make gifts for people. So the 3 classes you're going to work on here are the GiftEntry class. This is a class that allows us to create a gift entry object, which will identify a person and potentially a gift that we're getting for that person. We're also going to be keeping track of a larger gift list, which will include an array list of a lot of gift entries. So we're going to need to write that class. And then finally, we're going to write a gift list tester class that demonstrates how these pieces all work. Now, we may not actually get around to writing code in this particular assignment. We'll do a little bit of code. But mostly, this is all about designing the gift entry and gift list classes. And that can be a really tricky thing to do. You have to kind of think about what's going on. You have to anticipate what the needs are for this gift list program. You also have to be flexible and realize that you might have made a mistake, or you might have left something off, and then go back and try and fix that. So we are going to be thinking about the common gift list scenario. We've got some options listed here, some possibilities, and then we'll try to design our classes so that they can handle these situations. Sometimes you can see the first one there. You want to add somebody to the gift list, and maybe you don't know what their gift is going to be yet. We do want to be able to add people that we have identified a gift for. We want to change the gift that we've identified for a person, maybe. We want to edit it. We might want to cross somebody off our list and say, I'm not getting that person a gift after all. I'm taking them off my list. They've been naughty. You might want to check somebody off the list and say, I have gotten this gift for that person, so I don't have to worry about getting the gift anymore. We want to be able to display the entire list of people and their gifts and their checkoff status. And finally, maybe we want to print out a shortened form of that list, a shopping list, which includes only the people that we haven't yet gotten gifts for. So how are we going to write those classes so that we can do all those things? That's the challenge in this particular activity. I'm going to be using the BlueJ integrated development environment. There are others, of course, Eclipse, or you might even be just writing this in the console. But I'm going to be using this integrated development environment. So let me very quickly create a new project here. This will be the GiftList project. And the first class, we could start with our tester. Start at the top and then work our way down, smaller and smaller. I'm actually going to go bottom up here. I'm going to start with my gift entry class and see if I can figure out what do I need to include for this. So let me go ahead and fill in some of the basics here. Obviously, BlueJ has pre-populated some stuff here, so I'll just go ahead and fill in some things. But what I'm really interested in here is the instance variables. Let's start with the instance variables. What am I going to need to keep track of for every gift entry? For each person for whom I'm buying a gift, what are the important things I want to keep track of? I guess I'm obviously going to need to know the person's name. So any individual gift entry is going to have the person's name in there. And I'm also going to need to know what the gift is that I'm getting for that person. I might not know what that gift is initially, but I'll start with that there. And there's probably one other thing that I'm going to need to include, but I'll come back to that later on. I'm going to leave that as it is for now. So how do I construct an object of the class gift entry? What do I need to send in? If I'm documenting my public interface here, you might already be thinking, well, you're going to need to know who the person is. So name, the name of the gift recipient. I'll go ahead and put that in there. That's going to be an explicit parameter that's coming in here. I'm going to send that in. And this is for somebody for whom I haven't yet identified a gift. So let me initialize my instance variables here. Name is going to equal name. This won't work. Remember, the explicit parameter coming in is what has priority here. If I want to refer to the instance variable, I need to do something like that. And gift here, if I don't identify what gift is going to have a value null. And I guess I'm okay with that. I can go ahead and leave gift as null there. Or I might be very explicit about that and say gift is equal to null. And that would happen anyway. That's the default. But I'm going to go ahead and put that in there for now. I'm going to overload this method, though, because I also need to have the ability to construct a class or an object of the class GiftEntry if I know the name and the gift. So the gift for that recipient. So in this case, I'll be sending in two parameters. Java will know that if there are two parameters coming in, then it must include a name and a gift. And so this dot name is equal to name, and this dot gift will be equal to gift. So I'm pretty happy with these two constructors here. I might even want to test these and make sure that they're working the way that I think they are. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that for now. Let's, what are we going to do next? What are some of the methods that we have to worry about here? What are some of the requirements of our... What are some of the requirements for this assignment? One of the things I'm going to need to do is identify what the clearly I'm going to need to be able to identify the name of a particular gift entry and the gift for that particular gift entry. So those are getters, those are accessor methods. So let's get the name first of all. The get name method identifies the recipient of this gift entry. So I'm not going to need any parameters there. I'm just going to be returning the name of the recipient. And that's going to be a string value. This is a getter, get name. And I don't need to send any information in. The gift entry only has a single name associated with it, so I'm going to return name. That's pretty straightforward. I should probably do the same thing with the gift, right? I'm going to need to be able to figure out what the gift is for this guy. So the get gift method identifies the gift for this entry. And I'm going to return the gift name. String get gift, yeah, and return gift. Another getter, another accessor method. I'm going to need to edit the gift as well, right? I think one of the things we said was I was going to need to be able to change the gift if necessary. So that's commonly identified as a set gift. So the set gift method allows us to edit or change the gift. And I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to need to send in the information here. I'm going to send in the new gift name for that. So what's going to happen is I'll send in a parameter, gift, I'll call it new gift just to identify it. The new gift for this entry. String new gift. And I'm just going to set that old gift then to the new gift. Gift is equal to new gift. That seems pretty straightforward. And is there anything else that I need for this? If I'm looking at this, I think I'm probably okay. Here, let me compile this. I haven't compiled. Oh, it said I was going to return something here, or that I needed to return something. I need to change this to void because I'm not really looking for any feedback on there. I'm going to send in that new gift and get that there. So looks pretty good there. Let me create a gift here and see what happens. I'm going to create a new gift here for Albert. And Albert is going to get a pony. And then if I look in here and see what's going on, I get the gift for this one. It's a pony. And if I get the name for this recipient, that's Albert. So that seems pretty, let me try changing it. I'm going to change Albert's pony to a train. And if I look now and see, confirm that that has been changed to a train. So it looks as if this object is working the way I'd like it to. There's one other thing, though, that I forgot that I need to have there, right? I need to keep track of whether or not the gift has been purchased. So what kind of instance variable am I going to use for that? It's either purchased or not. So I think that I think I could probably use a Boolean variable to keep track of that. I'm going to set this Boolean variable. I'm going to give this Boolean variable the name is purchased. And when I initialize, I'm going to assume that the gift has not been purchased. So I'm going to set that to false. That's the default value for Boolean variables if you don't establish them, but I'm going to go ahead and set that in there anyway, just to be very explicit about it. Is purchased is going to be set to false for both of those. And if that's the case, then I'm also going to need to identify, I'm going to need to be able to identify whether a gift has been purchased or not. So I'm going to need to get that purchase status. So what are we going to call that method? Get purchase status. Is that a little bit awkward? Let's see. Public Boolean get purchase status. We could do that. We could do that. Another way, sometimes when you write a Boolean method like this, you'll use a verb. So you'll include something like is. If I have this method called is purchased, the is purchased method identifies whether we've bought the gift. And we're going to return true if the gift is purchased. And I've got a variable here called is purchased. I've got a private Boolean variable is purchased. So is there going to be a conflict there between is purchased the variable and is purchased the method? It might be confusing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to just purchased. I'll call that purchased. The method is going to be is purchased. And what I'll do then is return purchased. If purchased is true, then I'll return true. And if purchased is false, then I'll return false for that. Need to change those instance variables there. So let's double check this here. It purchased is going to be false. I'll set that to false. And is purchased will just return the value of whatever that is. Oh, but that's my getter for is purchased. I also need a setter. So what's that going to be? How am I going to do that? How am I going to set the value of that purchased variable? purchase. I'm going to create a purchase identifier, or method rather. The purchase method lets us identify a gift as purchased. And I'm going to, do I need to send something in? If I call the purchase method, I suppose that's just going to establish it there. Do I need to identify that do I need to send any information back? I don't think I do. So I'm just going to set that to void. I'm not going to have any parameters or any return values here. I'm just going to say purchased. And that will set purchased to true. Sorry, I said purchase. There we go. And we're going to set purchase equals true. So before purchased was false, it started out as false, but if I buy something, then I will call the purchase method and set purchased to true. I think that might cover everything. Let's compile and make sure it works. Let me again buy Albert a pony here, or make Albert something. Let's see, I'll make Albert a, what am I going to make him? I'll make Albert a card. I'll do that. And let's pretend that then I have made or purchased that card. So I'm going to call the purchase method. And now what's going to happen when I look at this? My gift is a card. My name is Albert. And has the card been purchased? Is it purchased? That's true. It has been purchased because I set that as purchased. So I think this concludes my gift entry. I think this is everything that I need for this. So that's a really good start. My gift entry class is going to allow me to create gift entry objects. And I've done that by hand using my integrated development environment here. The next thing I need to do is to think about that gift list class that's going to allow me to create and manage a list of these gift entries. So going back to the assignment, we've created our gift entry class, and now we need to take a look at our gift list class that's going to manipulate a list of those guys. And just as a reminder, we had a list of things that we wanted that gift list to be able to do. We should be able to add somebody to the gift list with no gift specified, add a person to the gift list with a gift specified, edit the gift, delete somebody from the gift list, check somebody off, look at a list of all the people and gifts and check off status, and then just create a shopping list. So these look like methods that I'm going to need to build into the gift list class. So let me see how I'm going to go about doing that. Back in BlueJ, I'm going to create a new gift list class, and let's start filling that out. Put some information in here. And what am I going to need to keep track of in my gift list here? What kind of instance variables do you think I'm going to need? This is going to be a list of items. They're all going to be gift entries. So I could either set that up as an array or an array list. I think I'm going to make it an array list. And the way you do that is you say array list, and then in angle brackets you put the type of information that's going to be in that array list. And in this case, it's going to be gift entries. So gift entry, and I'll call that my holiday list. And that's going to be, we'll just start that out. We'll just declare it here, and then we'll initialize it in a few minutes. If you're going to be using the array list here, of course, you need to import java.util.ArrayList so that we can make that happen. And so this is going to establish that initial instance variable there, or at least declare it. And then in the constructor, when I create my gift list the very first time, I'll go ahead and establish that. I'll set holiday list equal to a new array list of gift entries. And remember the syntax here, there's an open and closed parentheses there. So that's going to establish that new holiday list there. I'm going to go ahead and run this and make sure this works the way, or compile it and make sure it works the way I want it to. And it looks like it's working so far. So I'm happy with what I've got there. Now, what are the things that I want to be able to do with my gift list? If that creates a gift list, what are some of the things that I need to be able to do? I certainly need to be able to add an entry, and I need to be able to add an entry just based on somebody's name. And kind of in the same way that with GiftEntry, we had a constructor here that created a gift entry with just a name. I kind of need to be able to do the same thing here. I need to be able to add somebody to the list with just a name. So let's see. I think I'll, this is the constructor. Sorry, this is the add entry. Add entry, I think add entry, that's probably a good name there. Am I going to be getting any information back from this? No, I'm just going to be sending information in. And for this add entry here, I'm going to be sending in the name of somebody that I want to have a gift entry for. I don't have a gift for this person, so I'm just going to be sending in the name. Let's double check our documentation. The parameter that I'm sending in is name, the name of the recipient, and this looks very familiar because we did this with the gift entry. I'm not returning any information. And let me put a little comment up here. Add entry adds a new entry, gift entry to the list. We're not going to do code for all of these, but for at least the start here, we can try out some of these things. So how am I going to add an entry? How am I going to create a new entry, a new gift entry, and put that into my holiday list here? I think it should be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to say holiday. I can probably do it in one step here. Holiday list. And how do you add something to an array list? You use the add method. I'm going to be adding, and now I need to put a gift entry in there. I haven't created a gift entry object yet, so let me go ahead and do that in here. I'm going to go ahead and say I have a new gift entry, and it's going to be a gift entry for somebody that just has a name. This is a great little example of how we can create a gift entry. We're going to be using the overloaded constructor for that gift entry, and then use that new gift entry and add that into the holiday list. And that should do it for us. I'm going to go ahead and compile that and double check that that works. Double check that I've got the logic here going okay. So let me see how this works. You can see that we've got the arrow there that says gift list uses gift entry. Let me try this real quickly. I'm going to create a new gift list object. There it is. And what methods do I have available? Right now, all I have is this add entry. So let me take a look at that. I'm going to add in Albert. I don't have a present for Albert yet. And I don't have anything yet. I don't have any getters that allow me to view what's going on. But let me inspect that guy and see what's going on. Apparently, I do have an entry in the holiday list there. It's got one on my one entry there, and if I inspect that and see what's in there, it looks like I've got int length 10. What's going on there? I've got a bunch of stuff in there. What does that go to? Inspect. Oh, there it is. Albert, that's the string name. I don't have a gift for Albert, and purchased is false. Excellent. So that's what's going on there. It looks like we've got our array all set up there, or our array list, I should say. It's got a size of 1. We're good to go. This is an overloaded method. I also need to be able to add an entry where I have a gift and a name. So let's go ahead and do that as well. You probably already know what we're going to do here. Add entry string name. And I'm also going to be specifying a gift this time. And we'll do the same thing. Here I'm taking advantage of the overloaded gift entry constructor. We'll use name. And I'm also going to put a gift in there. And so now I can add that in there as well. The name of the recipient, and I need to, just for documentation purposes here, gift, the gift for that recipient. What other methods did I need to have? What else do I need to be able to do with this list? Let's just go ahead and make a list of all those things right now. Let's figure out what we need to include in there. Do you remember? I need to edit the gift that I've specified for a person. I need to delete a person. Let's go check those out. Edit gift, edits gift entry. And I guess what information do I need here? I'm going to need to tell them both the name of the person that I'm editing the gift for, and I need to send in, I guess, the new gift for that recipient. So I'm going to have to change that. And let's take a look down there and see what that's going to look like. Public. Am I going to be getting any information back? We'll see. We'll see about that. Void for now. Edit gift, I think. And I'm going to need to enter those two things. String name, the name of the person for whom I want to edit the gift, and string gift. And how are we going to change that? How are we going to change that gift? I'm going to have to think about that. Maybe I'll come back to that in a minute. I also need to delete somebody from the list. How do I delete somebody from the list? Delete entry. Deletes an entry from the list. So this is if there's somebody that I don't want to have to worry about buying a present for anymore. I'm obviously going to have to tell them who I'm deleting. Name. The name of the person to remove from the list. And I don't know if I'm going to be getting any information back from that. I think at this point, I think I'm just going to say public void, delete entry, and I'll give them the name of the person to delete. And I'm still going to have to do some work here to figure out what's going on there. So haven't implemented that just yet. What else do we need to do? We need to check a person off once we've gotten them a gift. We need to create a complete list and create a shopping list. So let's see how we're going to do that. So we need to check a person off. Check off list indicates that we've purchased a gift for someone. And what information am I going to have to give? I'm going to have to give the name of the person that we've gotten the gift for. The name of the person we've gotten the gift for. And what's that going to look like? Public, void probably, check off list. We'll give them the string name, and then we'll have to somehow figure out how we're going to check them off the list. Good. And then we also need to produce the two lists. We've got methods for those two lists. What are we going to call those? Complete list. Show complete list, maybe. Show complete list. Reveals everything about the entire shopping or gift list. And I don't think we have to indicate any parameters. We're just doing the whole list. But what we're going to send back is a list, a string that can be printed to display the list. So that's going to be public. We're sending back a string, show complete list. We're not sending any information in. We're just going to display or send back a string that has that entire list on it. We'll have to figure out how to do that. And then down here, show shopping list reveals just the unpurchased items. And we don't need any parameters for that. I think we are going to be returning a string that can be printed to create or to show a shopping list. Oh, that'll be clever. And that will be public string show shopping list. So this is a nice set of methods. We've set up our constructors, or our constructor, and our overloaded add entry. And we just need to figure out how to do these last little guys here. Editing a gift entry, deleting an entry, checking off the list, showing complete list, and showing shopping list. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Each of these has some interesting details here that we might want to dig into. It's probably going to take us a little bit of time to examine those. So which ones do you think which would be the most interesting for us to look at? I'll tell you there are two different strategies that people have. Some people like to pick the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, choose the ones that are easiest to do and get those out of the way. Other people like to take the most difficult ones right away and get those out of the way so that the easier ones will come later on. Let's do delete entry. I think delete entry will be a good place to start here. Remember, in delete entry, we're going to wipe somebody off the list. We don't want that person on the list anymore. There's a little bit of a thing here that we could think about here. First of all, if we get the name, we need to go through the list and find that person. So I think I'm just going to use a standard loop. I'll use a standard simple loop here. And I'll say for int equals 0, and I'm going to go through the entire list until I is less than, we're using an array list here, so the name of our array list is holiday list, and the size of that list, holiday list, the length of that list is indicated by size. So I'm going to go through that entire list. This loop will go through that entire list. It'll go from 0 to 1 less than the size of the list, which is every item on the list. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at each entry on that list. And how do I get that? Holiday list dot get I is going to retrieve a gift entry from that list, a gift entry object. And how do I get the name associated with that gift entry object? I use the getName method. Is that what we used? Get name. That's how we get the name from a gift entry there. So this is going to allow me to get the name associated with each gift entry object on that list there. So this is going to find a name. And if that name is the same as, and remember we have to say dot equals, the name that we're looking for, then I know that's the person that I want to delete from the list. So if we find that, I want to remove that person. That person is indicated by holidaylist.getI. So I'm going to say holidaylist.remove I. And I suppose once I've done that, I don't need to look any further. So I can exit the loop, or I can return, I can jump out of there. Now, I'm not returning any value, I'm just jumping out. I want to think about something for a second here, because what happens if I go through the list and I don't find this particular name here? In that case, nobody's name will be returned, or I should say, nobody's name will be removed. And I guess that's fine. That's probably the behavior we want. We don't want to remove somebody if we got their name wrong, or if they're not on the list. We wouldn't want to remove anybody who is on the list. We only want to remove people that we've clearly identified. But it would be helpful for this method to indicate or reveal to whoever calls it that there was a problem, that we couldn't find the person on the list. And there's a couple ways you can do that. One of the things that you can do is you can say, if I've gone through the whole list and I haven't returned, then down here at the bottom, if I get to this point, it's because I didn't find the name on the list and I didn't return once I removed it. So down here below the list, if you fall out to the bottom of the list, you could say something like error, we couldn't find that name. And that would be one way of managing that. A slightly cleaner way of managing that would not be to have the error printed out here, because maybe we don't want to print out an error. Maybe we just want to silently reveal that something went wrong so that whatever is calling this method can manage it in their own way. Rather than doing that, rather than printing out the error, one of the things that we can do, this is a very common thing, is we can send back, not void, we aren't going to do nothing. We're actually going to send back a return value. So at return success code that reveals whether entry was removed or not. So what we'll do is we'll say, if we found it here and we removed it, then we're going to return an integer value of 1. And that's going to indicate success. But if we didn't find it, then we're going to return, instead of actually printing out an error, we're going to return a value of -1. And that's just a code I made up. You could call it, you could say 0 and -1 if you want. We should probably indicate that clearly up here. Return 1 if successfully removed, -1 if name not found. And so what we'll do is we'll get a delete entry return value that we can use to determine whether or not we were successful. Let's try and run that and see what happens. I'm actually going to run through and do that. It didn't like that for int I. There we go. And I don't have a return for this. Okay, it looks like I'm supposed to return things here, return string. So if I want to return something here, I'm just going to say return nothing. And here, return nothing. Just putting those in there so I can compile this. So what happens? Let me create a gift list here. New gift list. And I'm going to, look at all these methods I have here. Most of these don't even work, but I'm going to go ahead and create somebody. I'm going to add an entry for Albert here. And let me see if I can remove Albert from my list. I misspelled Albert's name. I just put Albert in there. So I'm going to see if I can delete entry. And I'll put in Richard. The result from that is -1 because we couldn't find it. And I don't even have a way of looking at my list right now. I suppose I could inspect my list here and jump in here and take a look and see, is Albert actually inside here? There's Albert. So he's in there. What if I try and remove him? Will that work? I'm going to delete entry for Albert. And now I get a 1 back. And if I go ahead and look at my list, I want to inspect and see what's going on inside there. Inspecting that list, you can see that the size of that list is now 0, and I've actually got nothing in there. I've got no values. So it looks like Albert was removed from the list successfully. So good. We'll have to see what we can do with those. That might be useful for us in some other places as well. How are we going to check somebody off the list if I've actually purchased a gift for that person? How am I going to check them off the list? Can you think of what we're going to do there? It's the same thing that we did up here. We've got a name that we're going to be looking for, so I'm going to actually grab this and copy this down here. I'm going to go through and I'm going to look for that person. If I find the person I'm looking for, I don't want to remove them this time, though. That's definitely not what I want to do. What do I want to do with that holiday list item? What do I want to do with holiday list.getI? I want to check them off. I want to say that I purchased their gift. And what was the method that we suggested for that? we said we're going to call is purchased. Nope, purchase down here. We're going to call purchase to indicate that we have purchased that gift. So I want to say for this entry, purchase. We've got two things I'm worried about here. Number one, do you want to continue the same process of returning 1 on success and -1 if there's a failure? I think that would probably be a good idea. So I'm going to need to make this an int here. So we'll return a success value here. But here's another thing. What if I go through and I'm trying to check off a list for somebody when they don't have a gift assigned to them yet? That would be silly for me to do, but it's certainly possible that could happen. I could accidentally check off somebody for whom I haven't gotten a gift yet. So I think I want to double check here. Just because I've found the name doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to indicate that I've purchased. I only want to do that if I've got a gift for them. And how do I know if I have a gift for that person? The value of gift is null if I don't yet have a gift for them. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say I want to do this stuff if holiday list dot get gift is not equal to null. So let's take a look at this logic here and make sure that we're happy with this. If I find the person's name, good. And if I find that their gift is not set to null, then I'm going to indicate that I'm going to call the purchase method and return a success value. But if it is equal to null, then that was a bit of a problem. So I should maybe return else, return -1 to indicate that there was a failure. And I'll still have this -1 down here that I'll return if I went through the entire list. I think this will probably work, this check-off list thing. I think that will probably work. It certainly compiles okay. Oop, I take that back. It doesn't compile okay. Get gift. Wasn't able to use get gift. If holiday list, dot get gift. There we go. Thank goodness for compilers. So that'll check to make sure that it's not null, and I think that'll work for us. Well, we've got a few more to do here still. We have to find out a way to edit the gift entry. We have to go through and print everything on the list, and then we have to print everything on the shopping list. Let's go through and do one of these lists here. I think we'll go through and do the shopping list, and we'll see how that works. We'll go through that process. All right, this show shopping list, let's see if we can figure out how to create this. I'm going to be returning a string that represents the entire list of items there, including the person and the gift that we need to buy for them, but only if we haven't purchased that gift yet for them. So we are going to be returning a string here, but let's build up that string. So begin by creating a string, an empty string called shopping list. And we'll just put nothing in there, but we'll slowly add in there as we go through the list. So once again, we're going to need to go through each item on the list. So I'm getting pretty used to this little loop here. Let's go through that entire list, every item on the list. Go through the entire list. And what are we going to do here? And we're going to include it if it hasn't been purchased yet. Now, what did we have in our gift entry that indicated whether it was purchased? We have the isPurchased method, and that would be either true or false, depending on whether it was purchased or not. So I think here what I want to say is get the gift, and if that gift is not purchased, so isPurchased is going to have a value true or false, and I want to say not that. If it's not the case that we've purchased this thing, then we're going to include it on our list. So then we're going to take that item and we're going to add it to the shopping list. So shopping list is going to get added to it. The name of that person, so that's going to be holiday list dot get I, that's the entry, dot get name. And then we're going to maybe put a little dash sign there. And then what else are we going to do? Then we also need to add to the shopping list string the holiday list dot get I dot get gift, and that'll return the gift that we're getting that person that we still need to buy. So that'll add those things in there. I'm also going to add to this a new line character. So that'll print out both of these on a single line and then space down to the next line, so that next time when we add something in, it'll be on a new line. So we'll be doing both of those. If that's true, we'll go ahead and do both of those. We'll add those guys in there. If not, we'll do nothing. We'll just keep on going through until we get to the very end. And then at the very end, we're going to return that string. Return shopping list. Now, we should probably run set up a tester to run through and see if that works. But I don't have that yet, so I'm just going to try it on here and we'll see what happens. If I create a new gift list, and let's go ahead and put in an entry here. Here's for Albert. I'm not getting Albert anything. And then I'm also going to get something for Susie in here. Susie's going to get a rocking horse. And what do you think is going to happen if I try and get the shopping list now? Show the shopping list here. Are we going to get everything? It's interesting because it's printing out things like null, and that's not terribly interesting. It's got Susie's rocking horse here, but it doesn't have a really nice graceful way of saying null there. So I guess could we clean that up a little bit? I don't just want to put null in there. I'll leave that for some other time if I'm I'll play around with that. Maybe for now I'll just leave it at null and we'll see how that works there. Show complete list, I'm going to leave that for you to do. What else do we need to do here? Oh, edit a gift entry. Let's try to do that real quickly. They give me a name for the entry that I want to edit. Let me go through the loop again. And let me see if I can find that person's name on there. If I find that person's name, what am I going to do? I'm going to need to edit that gift. So if I found their name, then I need to reset the gift to this new gift. And I've got a method that I wrote for doing that in GiftEntry, didn't I? I had something called setGift where I give it the new gift name. So I think I can use setGift here. If this is the right one, then I'm going to say holiday list dot get I, in other words, the current gift entry, set gift, and what am I going to set it to? Whatever gift they've given me here. So I think that'll take care of identifying that new gift and setting it in there. What happens if I misenter the name here? What if that's wrong? Do I want to do the same kind of thing here? Do I want to have the same code where I'll send back a 0 or a -1 if I have an error? I'll return -1 if I didn't find the name. Otherwise, if I do manage to set the gift there, I'll return a +1. Same kind of thing we did here with that kind of success code coming in, 1 or -1. So I think I'm going to leave it at that right now, and hopefully that'll be useful to you. There's still, of course, the gift list tester that needs to be written, but I think we've made some good progress here in getting the gift list class running and the gift entry class running. So I hope this helps, and I will talk to you again soon.